In this video, I'll go over each command in full mode for Omega Mouse. Technically, full mode is actually a Talon context and not a Talon mode. The behavior of the different voice commands in Omega Mouse changes slightly depending on the mode that you're in, so I figured I'd go through each of them for full mode and demonstrate them. Now, the basic, or the main feature in full mode is the two-phase clicking with a popping sound. The way it works is the cursor does not move on the screen wherever you're looking or moving your head until you make a first pop sound. Then the cursor jumps over to where you're looking and head tracking turns on so that you can make a fine-tuned selection with your head. And then the second pop you make will actually make a selection and then restart the two-phase process by pausing the cursor again. So we'll go through each of the commands here. As you can see, I have the Talon log viewer open. Some of the commands will print out a little line of text so you can see what's going on. And we'll get to it. First thing I'll do is I'll go through the sort of housekeeping toggle ones, Omega Mouse toggle switching commands here. Sometimes my mic will misunderstand what I'm saying, so if that happens, then I'll of course have to redo the command. Okay, so first we'll turn Omega Mouse on and off. Omega Mouse. Omega Mouse. Omega Mouse. Okay. As you can see down in the Talon log viewer, it mentions full mode, tells you what mode is on, tells you what the state of the first pop is, if you've done a first pop or not, and then it lists some tags that get listed that the Python code depends on. You can see user.omegaFool was listed when I was on because line 7 of the Talon file has a value of 0 set, so it means that full mode is on. And then when I turn it off, it says Omega Mouse is off, and it shows that no tags are listed. Next up, we'll do Omega Restart. What I'll do is I will start the two-phase clicking by doing a first pop, and then as I'm in the head tracking portion of it, I will say Omega Restart, and then Omega Mouse will restart to its initial settings, and then you'll see that the head tracking turns off. Omega Restart doesn't actually turn Omega Mouse on and off, it just resets everything to the initial states, so you'll see that here. Omega Mouse. Omega Restart. Omega Mouse. Okay. Control Mouse and Zoom Mouse will, when you're in Omega Mouse, when Omega Mouse is on, Control Mouse and Zoom Mouse will switch over to Control Mouse and Zoom Mouse. But it needs to be set up correctly in order for Omega Mouse to turn off properly. So you can check out the setup section in the README or previous video I did to see what you have to do for that. Omega Mouse. Control Mouse. Omega Mouse. Zoom Mouse. Omega Mouse. Okay. Those four voice commands work the same in all the different modes. So now on to the actual features of full mode. There's the popping noise, as you can see, does the two-phase clicking. First pop moves the cursor, second pop clicks. Yum and gum are two alternative voice commands you can use to left click. They're not really necessary in full mode because the second pop does that, but if your cursor happens to be over what you want to select and you want to use yum or gum, you can. Yum. gum. Yummer and gummer are also left-click commands, but they will raise any modifier keys that are being held down. So I have a personal voice command called controller, which holds down the control key. So I'll demonstrate how when I do multiple selections by holding down control, and then I use yummer, it will release that key. Controller, yummer, twill is simply a double click. You can also use that if your cursor happens to be over whatever you want to click. So pretty standard. Twill. Relo is specific to full mode. As you can see when you're doing two-phase clicking, the first pop you do, the cursor moves to where you want to go, and then at that point you're stuck to head tracking, which isn't very sensitive, and then also you're kind of stuck on the next pop you're going to make is going to click. So relo is a way to move the cursor somewhere else without having to click in the area that you're at. Oops. Relo. Relo. I mentioned this in some other videos, but as you can see, there's actually an internal feature in Talon where if eye tracking is off and head tracking is on, the cursor will kind of snap over to where you're looking. I go over that in some other stuff. There's no way to turn that off right now, so it kind of gets in the way of how Omega Mouse works, but if you fall into that and you're not sure what's going on, that's what's going on. There's not really a way to turn it off right now. Drag will release all actually mouse buttons before it holds down a left drag. This is really just copying what the community repo does with dragging, but in Omega Mouse it will like turn on and off like head tracking, you know, if needed. Drag. Okay, drop is the command to release them all mouse button keys. You can use it with drag end or end drag, which are community repo defaults, I believe. And then there's also drop, which is defined in this Talon file. What I've done with Omega Mouse is that in the two-phase clicking, the second pop that you make actually will act as a drop command if you are currently dragging. So I'll demonstrate both dropping and then just doing a second pop. Drag. Drop. Drag. Twill. Drag. Cut that. Paste that. Okay, then there is, I'll go actually on to the wait function, or wait command right now. This will simply freeze the cursor if it's in the middle of moving. It will not release any of the mouse keys or modifier keys. It's really meant to be used, I guess, if you kind of need to think or you change your mind about what you're trying to do. Drag. Drag. Relo. 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 Wait. Wait. Okay, and then finally, omega check state, which is a voice command that sometimes gets misunderstood. But omega check state is really just meant for some troubleshooting. It will list out some of the variables and tags that are listed in the Talon log viewer. So let's see if it picks it up correctly. Omega check state. Okay, so you can see the line that says omega mouse states listed below, and then it lists the OM state, is omega mouse on or not. It lists the tags that are up. It lists the variable for the first pop done, which keeps track of the two-phase clicking, and then also sees if a mouse button is being held down. So let me try doing a check state while I'm in the two-phase clicking so you can see that variable change. Omega check state. Command mode. Omega check state. Okay, so you can see it misunderstood what I was saying and actually switched over to dictation mode, so I had to get out of that. But you can see that the first pop done variable is set to true because I checked the state as I was in the sort of phase 2 of the two-phase clicking. So that just about does it. You know, if you're interested in learning more about what's happening with Omega Mouse, or if you want to read about any of the stuff I went over, it's all on the README file on GitHub. So that's how you use full mode. I hope you find that helpful, and thanks for watching.